right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to introduce our guest here, ma'am.
Gail,
Gail, where are you from?
St. Mary's.
St. Mary's. Is this your first time to Front Porch Show, Gail?
No, I've been here all the time. Everyone.
And you keep coming back?
I keep coming back.
All right. And you, ma'am?
Lenore from St. Mary's a year ago last Saturday.
Wonderful.
Anniversary.
Wonderful. All right. Well, since you're such loyal fans, obviously it's time to reward your efforts here and invite you to join us as contestants in alternate facts. So I have a little bit of a story for you here, and I'm going to ask you to determine whether or not it is true, or as Mr. Trump likes to say, it's an alternate fact. All right. So right now we're standing in the historic Cadzo Park. And if you don't believe me, you can read it up there on the sign there. This is historic Cadzo Park. And the audience here is currently sitting in what was a pool a couple of years ago. I'm sure some of them wish they were right now. It's a little bit warm. Last week was just tremendously warm, but we can always go for the splash pad later on if you're still a little bit overheated. But obviously this park has been around a long time, and its name goes back to 1920s when it was called Cadzo Park. It was land that was owned by one of St. Mary's earliest settlers, George Tracy, who owned the home up there. They called it Castle on the Woods, one of the most prestigious homes of its day in the 1850s, and became our museum. The park was called Cadzo Park after a Scottish estate way over on the other side of the ocean there. So, unfortunately, of course, this park has not been without its controversy. And I'm not just talking about, whether we take out a pool and put in a splash pad, or, what kind of swings or other facilities we have here. And hey, we've done a great job here. I think council should get a roll of hand on that one. Anyway, and it wasn't just council, of course, staff did a tremendous job doing the design. Anyway, when it comes to controversy, Cadzo Park has had a few over the years. I can remember growing up here in the 50s, well, pardon me, the 60s, the 60s, And in fact, I live right up the street here, so swimming here and all kinds of other activities. Some of them nocturnal, and some of them, decided to go for a swim when it wasn't, always scheduled, and they didn't exactly have their bathing suits with them, but it didn't seem to matter too much. So that became a bit of an issue, for people at the time, and then, but one even preceding that was back in the 30s, and of course, this is Depression era, right? And back in Great Britain, there was a bit of a wave of anti-Scottish sentiment going on because the Scots, that thought perhaps, the nationalist feelings were being revved up by the Depression. They thought that they could run things better than England, and that kind of flowed over, into Canada here, and this being a Scottish community, there's a little bit of controversy going on, and people thought, Cadzo doesn't exactly trip off the tongue, it's not a great name for a park. I mean, where else in the world, does anyone have a Cadzo Park, for goodness sake? So there was a bit of a movement back then, to have this place renamed, and of course, as all good thinkers do, they think, well, let's have, something a little bit more patriotic, like, well, at the time, the King of England was named Edward, so they thought Edward Park. Very appropriate name for a British dominated population of the town at the time, and a bit of a controversy going on there. But then, of course, what happened to Edward? He decided the love was more important than royalty, and he abdicated the throne, and then that just kind of went away. Or did it? I don't know. Ladies and gentlemen, is this the truth, or is it in fact an alternate fact? What do you think?
I think it's the truth.
She thinks it's the truth. All right, and Lenora, you're shaking your head.
Yeah, no.
Can't possibly?
No.
Why do you think it doesn't sound true?
It's a long story.
Too long a story? Too long a story? I'm a politician. I'm prone to talk a long time. I mean, and you think it's true because
Well, because I think there could be some, I can't say had thou part. I say it wrong all the time. So
Right.
Edward would have been easier.
Yeah, you should hear my mother try to say it in her Dutch accent. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, your opinion matters here too. Truth or an alternate fact? Truth? Yeah, a few of you. Alternate fact? Yeah! Oh my goodness, it sounds like the audience is with you. Yeah, Lenore, it sounds like the audience is with you. And of course, we have some lovely prizes here. John, could you pass those along to me? Obviously, one of you is going to be winning one of these fabulous Ford golf shirts. Your choice of color. Don't they look good? You want to pick one out? Well, you shouldn't bother because you didn't win. Lenora wins! Lenora wins! And if you don't like the shirt, we have a ball cap. Yeah, in fact, the ball cap goes to our second prize winner. And thank you for participating in Alternate Fact. Hey, John.